Have you ever given up a whole weekend just to learn a new piece of technology?
Oh, absolutely. Too many times.
Right. Like you sit down on a Saturday morning, you fire up this massive 10-hour video tutorial on something like Docker.
Or maybe a new programming language like Rust or something.
Exactly. And you are just locked in. You're taking these pristine notes. You're color coding your digital workspace.
Building this incredibly thorough mental map in your head.
Yeah. And by Sunday night, you feel like a total genius. You know everything. But then Monday morning rolls around.
The dreaded Monday morning.
You open your terminal, you stare at that blinking cursor, and you realize you have absolutely no idea what to actually type.
That is such a visceral feeling, and it's just universally frustrating.
It really is.
You possess all these theoretical puzzle pieces, right? But the moment you are actually asked to put them together in motion, the bridge between studying and executing just collapses.
It feels like a complete betrayal by your own brain. Like you put in the work,
Yeah.
so where is the skill? Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are thrilled to have you with us today because we are on a very specific mission.
You really are.
We are going to completely dismantle and hopefully shift how you actually think about learning.
Yeah, we're fundamentally rewiring the approach here. The goal is to move you away from what we call a content-first mindset and transition you into an AI-first learning mindset.
And just to give you a little peek behind the curtain on how we're going to do this, we are actually working for Skill Wanderer.
That's right.
So today's source material is an exclusive lesson pulled right from their curriculum for tech professionals. It's specifically designed to tackle this exact frustration you feel when intense studying simply does not translate into doing.
And it is an incredibly vital shift, especially right now in the tech industry where the landscape is, well, it changes weekly.
Daily?
Seriously. But before we can genuinely understand and adopt this new AI-first approach, we really need to take a hard look at the old operating system. We need to examine how we have all been conditioned to learn from a very young age.
Because this whole weekend tutorial binge habit, it is not an accident.
No, not at all.
We have all been systematically trained in the traditional learning mindset.
Yes.
And the core belief of this mindset is that you, as the learner, must gather as much knowledge as humanly possible before you are ever allowed to begin the actual work.
Think about the structure of traditional education, which then just bleeds into how we consume technical documentation as adults.
Oh, totally.
It's all organized around comprehensive lectures, sequential chapters, these massive textbooks, and step-by-step instructions.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It is.
Yeah.
And the underlying kind of unspoken contract is receive the information now, store it in your brain, and eventually someday when a problem arises, you will be expected to retrieve and apply it.
Now, we are definitely not saying this is entirely useless.
Right, it has its place.
It provides broad coverage. It gives you a structured foundation. It exposes you to edge cases you might never stumble across on your own.
Absolutely.
But it trains you to be a passive recipient of information rather than an active problem solver. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Imagine you want to learn how to ride a bicycle. In the traditional learning mindset, you wouldn't just try to hop on and pedal.
Of course not. That would be too practical.
Right. You would sit down and read a thick manual on gyroscopic physics, balance dynamics, and, tire tread patterns.
For like 3 weeks.
Yes, you read this manual for 3 weeks straight without ever touching a pedal. Now, it feels safe, right? It gives you the impression of progress.
Because you're reading. You're absorbing facts.
Exactly. But it's not real riding.
And what's fascinating here is what the text calls the illusion of understanding.
The illusion of understanding. I love that phrase.
It's so accurate. Traditional learning measures your understanding by your exposure to the material. Did you read the chapter?
Yes. You recognize the vocabulary, yes.
Right. But the human brain is tricky. It constantly confuses recognizing a concept with the ability to actually recall and execute that concept. Oh, wow. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, traditional learning completely bypasses clarity, judgment, or real-world action.
So you're standing next to the bicycle or, the server architecture, and you can name every single component. But the second you're asked to actually configure the load balancer, you just freeze.
You have passive familiarity.
But absolutely zero usable understanding.
Which means you cannot make decisions in real time. You end up spending huge amounts of cognitive energy memorizing things that aren't even relevant to the immediate situation you are facing.
So if collecting all this information up front just creates this false sense of security, How do we get to actual usable understanding?
How do we actually write the code?
Yeah, how do we deploy the server? Well, that is exactly where the AI-first mindset steps in.
It is a total paradigm shift. The AI-first learning mindset starts from a radically different belief system.
Okay.
It assumes that you do not need complete coverage before you begin. You do not need that 400-page manual.
Right.
You just need enough clarity to move forward. Just enough to take the next logical step.
Precisely that. And crucially, in this mindset, AI is not just an answer machine.
Which is how most people use it, I think.
Oh, absolutely. We so often treat our AI tools like a search engine on steroids. We throw a query over the wall and just wait for a block of code to copy and paste.
Guilty. I've definitely done that.
We all have, but that is the wrong mental model here. In an AI-first mindset, AI is your partner for clarification.
A partner.
Yes, it is a partner for comparison, for questioning your assumptions, and most importantly, for surfacing the underlying understanding that you are missing.
It's what the curriculum calls just-in-time learning.
Yes, exactly.
You aren't trying to know everything in advance. You are focusing strictly on the knowledge that matters right now.
Right.
And the text brings up this incredible concept, the 2080 effect.
This is a game changer.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's the idea that a very small portion of high-value knowledge, maybe 20% of a topic, often drives 80% or the vast majority of your immediate results.
And the mechanism behind why that works is rooted in how human memory actually functions.
Really? How so?
Well, when you learn something just in time to solve an immediate problem, your brain anchors that new information to a specific, highly relevant context.
Oh, I see.
You aren't just memorizing a random syntax rule out of a textbook. You are learning the syntax rule that fixes the broken script currently flashing red on your screen.
That emotional spike probably helps it stick too.
Exactly. That small amount of the right knowledge, applied at the exact right time, unlocks massive, meaningful progress, and it sticks in your memory permanently.
Now, hold on. Here's where it gets really interesting, because I can hear the objections from our listeners already.
Oh, I'm sure there are objections.
Right. Like, wait, isn't this just rushing?
Yeah.
If we skip the foundational map and if we just jump to what matters right now for the immediate result, aren't we just hacking our way through?
It feels like cheating almost.
Totally. Like, if I do this in a professional environment, aren't I just going to deploy absolute spaghetti code to a production server because I copied what AI told me without understanding the architecture?
That is a very natural and honestly a very valid fear.
Yeah.
We are so conditioned to revere the heavy textbook, and we are terrified of breaking things. But this raises an important question.
Okay.
What is the actual goal of your learning? The value of AI-first learning is not that it magically eliminates your effort or gives you permission to be lazy.
So it's not a shortcut to skip the work.
You are not skipping the work. What you are doing is shortening the path between your initial confusion and a useful insight.
But if I'm just letting the AI write the function for me to shorten that path, am I actually gaining insight?
Not if you do it blindly. And that is the crucial nuance here. This mindset, frankly, demands a much higher level of discipline than reading a book.
Discipline, really?
Oh, absolutely. You have to take complete ownership of your own thinking. You have to have the self-awareness to notice what you do not understand as you're doing it.
That requires paying a lot of attention.
Yes. You aren't passively receiving a lecture. You are actively engaging with a problem, trying to solve it, failing, and then asking the AI for specific clarification on why it failed.
So the worry about hacking our way through and deploying garbage code to production is actually highly relevant.
Very relevant.
Because the source text makes it very clear that the incredible speed of AI-first learning comes with a very specific and potentially dangerous trade-off.
Speed is absolutely its biggest strength. It gets you to practical working understanding way faster, especially when your goal is real-world progress rather than just, mastering a theoretical map.
Right.
But if you only ever learn what is immediately useful for the task directly in front of you, you are going to develop severe blind spots.
Because you are hyper-focused on the immediate fire you're trying to put out.
Exactly. You might completely miss supporting concepts. You might miss crucial edge cases that just didn't happen to pop up in your specific task.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You might completely overlook deeper security principles or background knowledge that doesn't appear in the early stages of a project, but will absolutely tank your application at scale.
So AI-first learning is incredibly powerful, but it is not complete all by itself.
No, it isn't.
And this is the twist. This is where traditional learning is reborn. It isn't dead. It isn't irrelevant.
Not at all.
It just changes its position in the timeline.
It becomes the perfect complement. Traditional learning is how you patch those blind spots. It is how you strengthen the weak areas and widen your understanding.
But you do it later.
Yes, and this is the absolute key to the whole philosophy. You do it after you see what is missing.
I love this. It completely reframes both approaches. Think about it this way. AI-first learning is like using a narrow beam flashlight in a pitch-black room because you need to quickly find the door.
Okay, I like this.
It is fast, it is highly relevant, it gets you exactly where you need to go right now.
Yeah.
But you can't see the rest of the room. You might trip over a couch you didn't know was there.
Right, because the beam is so narrow.
Exactly. Traditional learning, then, is waiting until you safely reach the door, and then reaching over to flip on the overhead light.
Oh.
Suddenly, you can see the architecture of the whole room. You get the broad coverage, but now you have the context of having actually navigated the space.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. The flashlight gets you moving and the overhead light gives you the context.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the real mindset shift we are talking about here isn't just swapping one tool for another.
What is it then?
It is shifting your fundamental assumptions about what makes you a good professional. You are moving from the belief that more information means more progress to the realization that better judgment means more progress.
Better judgment. Moving from AI can just tell me the answer so I don't have to think, to AI can help me see what I actually understand and expose the concepts I still lack.
Yes. Strong learners don't view this as a binary choice.
Right, they aren't fighting each other.
No. They don't treat one method as entirely right and the other as a relic of the past. They use both, intentionally. AI first to build rapid momentum and encounter real problems, and traditional learning to fill in the critical gaps and understand the deeper architecture.
Okay, so understanding this philosophical synthesis is great. It makes total sense on paper.
But how do we do it?
Exactly. If I'm sitting at my desk right now, staring at a blank ChatGPT window, what is my literal first move? How do you actually execute this mindset shift today?
Good question.
Well, the source material gives us a very specific, brilliant micro-action to put this into practice immediately.
And the goal of this microaction is not to suddenly master a massive new topic in an afternoon.
That's impossible anyway.
Right. The goal is simply to experience what it actually feels like to start from action rather than starting from reading, and to learn with active awareness.
So let's role play this. Say you want to learn Python for data analysis. Here is what you do. Open up your AI tool of choice. You give it this prompt. Give me a small, practical assignment to practice Python data analysis. It should be doable in under 30 minutes.
Notice what is happening there. You are immediately demanding action.
Yep.
You are asking for a task, maybe parsing a simple CSV file. You are not asking for a lecture on data types.
But then you followed up with a second prompt, which is where the real magic happens.
I love this part.
You ask the AI, what should I pay attention to while doing this assignment so I actually understand it and not just complete it?
That prompt is crucial. It completely shifts the AI from being a taskmaster to being a cognitive coach.
A cognitive coach. That's a great way to put it.
It primes your brain to look for the underlying mechanics of what you are doing. The AI might tell you, pay attention to how Pandas handles missing data, or notice the difference between a series and a data frame.
And there is an optional third prompt the curriculum suggests, and honestly, this is my favorite part.
Oh, the mistake one.
Yes. You ask, what mistakes will beginners usually make in this assignment? So what does this all mean? It means you are preloading your awareness.
You are.
You are stepping into the action knowing exactly where the traps are. You know you are probably going to mess up the syntax for filtering rows, so when you do, it isn't this frustrating surprise.
It's a recognized learning moment.
Exactly. And the most empowering part comes after those 30 minutes are up.
Yes, the post-action phase. This is where the overhead light comes on.
After you try the assignment, and maybe you fail, maybe you struggle, maybe you hit a wall and the code throws an error you don't understand, that is when you go back to the traditional materials.
That's when you grab the textbook.
Right. You go to the documentation, the chapters, the articles. But now, you aren't just reading blindly from page 1.
You have a purpose.
You are browsing with a razor-sharp eye, hunting specifically for the concepts you encountered during the assignment but didn't fully understand. Suddenly, every single word in that documentation has vivid, real-world context because you are looking for the solution to a problem you just experienced.
You aren't trying to swallow the whole ocean in advance anymore. You are hunting for the specific terms and theories that appeared during your work.
It's so much more efficient.
And this microaction perfectly encapsulates our entire goal for this deep dive. You are experiencing the reality of starting from action, noticing the exact gaps in your understanding, and using AI to support your human awareness instead of replacing your human thought.
It is a profound shift in how you spend your time and energy. It basically turns frustration into a diagnostic tool.
It really is, and the lesson material provides some excellent reflection questions to help you examine your current habits.
What should people be asking themselves?
Well, ask yourself, when you start learning something new, do you instinctively seek full coverage first, or do you seek useful clarity first?
That's a tough one. What makes that old content-first approach feel so safe to you? And conversely, what makes a faster AI-supported approach feel risky?
Are you afraid of looking foolish, or are you afraid of missing something important?
Right.
Consider where just-in-time learning could help you move faster right now in your own life or career, but also be brutally honest with yourself about the blind spots you would need to watch out for if you adopted that method.
These are the questions that turn theory into real behavioral change.
Absolutely.
And as we wrap up, we want to remind you that this entire deep dive was brought to you by Skill Wanderer. If you want to master this approach and actually apply it to your career, you absolutely need to check out the full course.
Highly recommend it.
You can find it at dojo.skillwanderer.com/courses/iFirstLearning for tech careers.
And specifically, you can dive into the exact lesson we discussed today at dojo.skillwanderer.com/courses/iFirstLearning for tech careers/lessons/iFirst for traditional learning.
And what's truly fantastic about their platform is that it features multiple model learning formats.
Which is great because everyone learns differently.
Exactly. So whether you prefer video walkthroughs, podcast-style audio, interactive slides, or deep dive reading, they have it all structured for exactly this kind of active AI-first learning. It meets you exactly where you learn best.
It is an incredible resource for putting everything we've talked about into practice.
For sure.
But before we leave you, there's one final thought that builds on everything we've discussed today. We've established that the AI-first mindset relies heavily, almost entirely really, on your own personal discipline to notice your blind spots.
Right. You have to be deeply aware of your own confusion. You have to let yourself fail to know what to actually look up.
Exactly. But if AI continues to get better and better at anticipating our needs, auto-completing our code, and seamlessly fixing our errors in the background. Wait, actually, let me rephrase that. If AI seamlessly fixes everything without us noticing, how will our uniquely human ability to pay attention to our own confusion need to evolve in a future where AI can instantly paper over our mistakes before we even notice we made them?